Welcome back to the show. We got an update in the SEC versus Ripple and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.46 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 4.3%. 70,300 plus for Bitcoin right now, 2,500 plus for Ethereum, $120 billion plus market cap for USD Tether, 34 billion plus for USDC. XRP number 7 spots 51 cents. We're up 0.2 on the 24, off by 1.3 on the 7-day. The range of price very quickly between 50 and 52 cents. We got a chart you're going to love to see before we get out of here. But let me show you this right now. It's linked to, ladies and gentlemen. You know it is the best home for private equity in the world, and it is. There's no question about it that it is. But let me tell you a little something right quick here, because this is something you need to know, and this is very, very important here. Shield AI is one of the private equity companies that you could have access to on this platform. They make drones and software that allows multiple drones and fighter jets to fly autonomously. How about that one? And they just did a deal with Ukraine for 200 drones at the cost of $1 million each. So you can see that this is not something that needs to be tested. This is out there working in the world right now. This is the level of private equity you have access to at Link 2. Click the link below and get started. It takes just a few minutes and you're buying private equity. There you go. Well, breaking news, SEC charges JP Morgan Securities Investment Management with $151 million fine. Yeah. For misleading disclosures and fiduciary violations. Yeah. I think we have this figured out, though. This is what they call pay to play, right? This is, you pay a fine to pay them off so you can keep doing. Did they say that they're going to stop doing those things? Remember, JP Morgan also fined for manipulating the U.S. Treasuries market and the silver market, right? So this is not something unknown to JP Morgan. This is pretty much, it's Friday, but it could have been a Tuesday, right? Oh boy, shout out to Andrew DeVillibus for this. Take a listen to Anthony Scaramucci at the recent Stellar Meridian conference, which was by all measures what I see here, fantastic. But I have something you need to know about Anthony Scaramucci. He is taking a pivot in this conversation. Take a listen.
Because I think the U.S. is messing things up for the rest of the world.
That is true.
No, quite. Gary Gensler is like the worst SEC chairman in the history of the SEC, you know. I mean, I got in trouble because I said, you know, if you look like Jiminy Cricket in real life, you would take it out on the rest of us, you know. And somebody got mad at me because it was like an ad hominem attack, and so I had to take it back. So I retract that statement.
Except for he just said it again right now.
But I do feel that way. I mean, I just think the guy knows better. I was with a gentleman earlier that works for Credit Agricole who had him as a professor at MIT, and he was pro-Bitcoin. He was pro-blockchain technology, and due to political expediency, and I know what happened because I got my 11-day PhD in Washington scumbaggery. Okay, so let me explain to you exactly what happened. He was hanging out with Sam Bankman-Fried, and Elizabeth Warren, who was a law school professor at Harvard, was hanging out with Sam's parents, who were law school professors at Stanford, and they were very close. And there were meetings that were inside these offices, which were scheduled, and you can use Freedom of Information Act and see the meetings. And then there were many meetings outside of the offices, and they were very close to giving Sam margin approval on his exchange. And about 5 or 6 weeks prior to getting that approval, Sam blew up, and he's now spending 25 years in jail for fraud. And in order to eclipse that activity, they went super, super hard at the industry, right? It's like Caesar's wife. I've got to have clean hands. I can't look like I'm part of the murder. And so I'm going to go super hard at the industry for absolutely no reason. He knew better. He knows that this is an important industry for the United States, but they did this for their own personal political survival. And I got to tell you, I absolutely hate politicians like that. And
Well, you know what? He makes a good point, but here's the fun fact. Scaramucci was a big investor in FTX. He forgot to tell you that part while he was tearing Gary's ass up. Yeah, that's right. He was on the train before he was off the train, right? He, along with Gensler, were totally on board with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX until he went bust. You don't invest as much as Scaramucci did without doing your due diligence. So don't tell me Scaramucci didn't know about SBF and FTX as a dumpster fire, because as he highlighted, they met with Gary Gensler in the SEC multiple times. But Scaramucci claimed after it got busted and it all went down, he said, oh, well, we invested, but we didn't know. We didn't see anything wrong with it. It's like, that's a lie. Ray Charles could see what was wrong with this company, and Gary Gensler didn't, and Scaramucci didn't. And the reason I believe that they didn't is because this was a classic move to distance themselves, because they all knew that FTX was an attempt to capture payment for order flow for the entire crypto market. Yes, that's right. Not only were they going to get coveted license that nobody else could get, there was also an attempt for FTX to become the VC for almost every on and off ramp for the industry was the goal, so they could capture the entire space. How about that? But Sam Bankman-Fried ruined the plan, right? So as bad as the FTX collapse was, we should be glad they didn't accomplish what they were truly after. And Scaramucci likes to tell half a story, because the whole story is him being a part of that crew until it went down. And would you look at this? Paulo Arduino, this is what he says. Tether released attestations for Q3 2024. Another impressive quarter. I do not doubt it. The problem is this. Paulo Arduino can show us all the attestations and the printouts all he wants, but don't show it to us. Show it to the U.S. government. They're the ones who are targeting you, right? You can show us all you want. It don't matter if you show it on X. You better start showing the U.S. government something they need to see, because they are absolutely targeting Tether, no question about it. And I don't pretend to know the outcome. I just pretend to know. I just absolutely know it's happening. Big news from Greg Kidd at Ripple and Uphold private event in Las Vegas for Money 2020. Ray Fuentes got a chance to sit down with him. Guys, you should go check it out. If you're not following Ray Fuentes, you should be. And I have this on my profile, if you can't find it, to watch the entire thing. But what you need to know is that Greg is aiming to launch the first FDIC insured stablecoin via Vast Bank, which he just bought not too long ago. I think it's the last couple of years. This is something to watch. And as Ray covers in here, there's not too much that Greg Kidd hasn't touched that hasn't turned to gold. So you might want to check that out. And I think it's super cool that he's moving forward with that bank. Look here, NASDAQ and CBOE, the two biggest stock exchanges, challenge new SEC rule that changes the economic structure of how stocks are traded. And basically, it's to lower the cost of these trades, but there's a pushback saying that this puts them too close to wholesalers on the backside if they do this, and it could cause confusion and problems in the market. I happen to think somewhere inside of this, which it does not suggest in this article, that we come back to that vote, that unanimous vote to indeed use distributed ledger technology to get that settlement time down, which means the fees will start coming down, which means there's going to be some pushback, which we see in this article. Now, is it all connected? I'm speculating a little. I believe that there is something that touches each other in this article, but we're going to have to watch it for more. One thing I do know is that things are changing rapidly, like this. Coinbase Institutional says, excited to announce that Coinbase Derivatives is expanding our suite of CFTC regulated futures. Are you ready? For silver and stellar XLM contracts. Oh, yeah. What are you telling me here? Well, you're telling me that you're bringing digital assets into the traditional markets. You're starting to pair it all up. And isn't this what we've been wanting to see? And isn't this another big signal that says we, in fact, are going to get some kind of legislative clarity? Because you don't get to keep doing things like this unless it's going to remain. I happen to love Stellar and XLM. Super excited about this. And by the way, I love silver too. So this is just great news all the way around. I hope it is for you. And here you see, starting November 11th, the derivatives is launching future contracts for Stellar, Lumens, XLM, and silver. It is very, very exciting to me. And this is November 11th, right? So is coming in just another 10 days. So, and how about this? We got to touch this again. There was news about the BIS dropping the mBridge project. And then yesterday we covered the fact that you need to know that James Wallace from Ripple has explained that XRP Ledger is in fact one of the models of mBridge. It could be the model of mBridge. I don't know all the way, but we know it's at least a model of mBridge that's being tested. And it was first reported that the BIS was going to drop it, ditch it, step away from it. And then Augustin Carstens came out and made it even more clear. They're pulling back and handing it over to the central banks. And it's not because it was a failure. It's actually because it was highly successful. And they want to take the efforts and resources at the BIS and put it towards earlier projects that need more development. It goes on to say that the mBridge needs a little more development as well for it to be completely ready, but it is highly successful. And they have basically said they have handed it over back to the central banks that were participating. So it's not gone by any stretch of the imagination. And that is super exciting to me. They also mentioned that the BIS can't participate in something that works with countries that are currently being sanctioned. And that is some of the countries that were working on the mBridge project as well. So we'll keep you up to date as that changes, just like we're going to keep you up to date on this right now. Update in the SEC versus Ripple case, and I think we like this. We've got a date to hold on to. The Second Circuit Court has ordered the SEC versus Ripple and its executive brief be filed on or before January 15, 2025. Remember, we had a little gray area there about filing the appeal itself. The court ordered to dismiss the appeal if the brief is not filed after January 15th. So here it is right here, and here is the writing where it's written. The appeal is dismissed effectively January 15, 2025, if the brief is not filed by that date. A motion to extend the time to file the brief or to seek the other relief will not toll the filing date. How about that? So I think this almost feels like, hey, we know what you did when you filed your S form or whatever it was. Be like, but you know what? We're not having any of it this time. January 15th. If you're not, this thing's over, right? So we'll see how that goes. I do know that I like Ashley Prosper highlighting the fact that it is going to be dropped if they don't file. So I hope the SEC forgets to file. Hey, let's not rule out the idea that the SEC is just trying to delay. And maybe it gets dropped. If they get some kind of legislation passed, they may be able to drop this case. It may have legislation that says, you know what? This case is no longer valid. Drop it. That could happen. I'd love that to happen. I'd love this to happen. Shout out to Egg Rag Crypto, which is Wise Crypto. You damn right. XRP, the bent fork, ladies and gentlemen. The prices are changing, and you're liking where we're liking where it's going, or could go. As XRP's curvative increases, so does the target. The new top for bent fork now sits at $15 or $17. It used to be $15. But don't overlook the $1 mark. It is both a key structural resistance and a psychological barrier for the market. This is true. I have watched this happen a couple times here with XRP. XRP has been in a long accumulation zone since April of 22, nearly 950 days or about 2.6 years. This lengthy range could be laying foundation for a substantial move. If XRP reaches $17, I'm buying a helicopter. No, I'm kidding. If XRP reaches $17, a typical bear market could bring it back to around 3.5 and 80% retracement. And that would make sense because that was the previous all-time high. If we do hit 17, it would make sense that that may become the new bottom, like 28 cents was for so long for us, right? Consistent with historical drawdowns, closing above $3.50 isn't just a number, it's a critical level structurally. This could form XRP's next foundation zone where accumulation or ranging may resume. So there you have that, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. I know you do too. And things are getting super exciting knowing that at some point in 25, by all accounts, however this election shakes out, both sides have pretty much indicated there's going to be some kind of legislation to happen, whether it's stablecoin legislation, market infrastructure bill, or both. But I tell you, I can't wait. And I can't wait to see what the institutions and the financial firms do when we get the kind of clarity that no longer prohibits them from participating in this space. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Let me tell you where we're going right now. It's into the Freedom Zone. You're going to want to join us. It's hot today in here. I hope you join us. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Go to digitalperspectives.com, click the Freedom Zone, and come on in. All right.